Hi, welcome to Cooking Matters Connecticut. I'm your host, Kelly Gilbert. Cooking Matters is a nutrition education program that teaches how to eat healthy on a budget. We're based out of the Community Health Network of Connecticut Foundation, and we would like to thank the Curtis C. Robinson Center for Health Equity for collaborating with us on this video series, and the Corsini Kitchen at the Wheeler Family Health and Wellness Center for letting us use this beautiful space. Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of Cooking Matters Connecticut. More than halfway through the course.
Yes, that's good.
Wonderful. How is everyone
So
today?
excited.
Everybody's good.
Good. Excited to be here.
Absolutely.
All right. So, as we said, Cooking Matters is a nutrition education program. Our 3 big topics are nutrition, information, of course, so learning about all the foods we eat. The second part we focus on is cooking, of course, right in our name, Cooking Matters. And then the third, so important, is budgeting, right? Because all this information, all the information in the world, and all the skills in the world, it doesn't help us out if we can't afford to bring the groceries home to our house.
Yeah, that's true.
So, that's the universal, that's one thing everyone has in common. So food budgeting, one of the most important things. So today's class, I love this class. We're just having a conversation, so a lot of input from you guys. You're gonna teach me basically, so a lot of tips and tricks you have. So we're gonna talk about menu planning, grocery shopping itself. We're gonna cover a little bit of what's in the book. So when you graduate from Cooking Matters, you actually get a whole entire book to keep. So it has the recipes, the handouts, and we're gonna go over some of the step-by-step sections. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, good. So
I'm excited.
presents. Yeah. So do you guys ever plan your menus in advance for the week or a couple days or?
I used to. When I'm with my children, I used to. Because I have 2. And it's like, you choose 3 days what you want. And you choose 3 days what you want. And then I went to shop for those, whatever they chose.
Okay, to make like a meal around that.
To make the meal, yeah.
Nice.
So, yes, I have. I
Awesome.
have. And again, it's also based on, you get the sales paper and see what they have there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to shop actually we used to shop at 3 different stores.
Oh my.
Yeah, but it was mom and kids day, Saturday.
Okay.
The stores weren't that far apart, so but what's on sale here and what's on sale here, canned goods, frozen goods. So it was, and my daughters learned well.
Oh, good. So the lessons got passed around too.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, if you have that kind of time, it's so worth it just here, and especially if they're close by.
Yeah.
It adds up, and if you're doing that every week, I like that you have like a real democracy in your house too. Like we actually got to pick. So many people are like, "What I say goes." So that's a good way to make people eat it too, right?
And absolutely. So it made sure that they both had a chance to eat what they liked, and not always what mom liked, And they had a hand in, preparing. Not that they just said, "This is what I want," but depending on what it was, they also had a hand in.
Oh, they joined you in the kitchen
In the
and
kitchen, yes.
helped make it? Good.
Yes, they joined.
Oh,
in the
good.
kitchen.
Very good.
So my son, he cooks. Not very well.
But he's trying.
But he has
tries.
he's not going to starve.
No.
He has the ability.
Yeah.
He's a quick one though.
Okay, the quick meals.
Yeah, really.
And we have some of those in the book. Well, and that's like such a good tip too. People are always asking in class, how do I get my kids to eat? And you said it perfect. They're not going to starve. They will give in, no matter how picky they are. But one of the best things you can do is encourage that. When you're making something on your own, you're more connected to it. You're more proud of it. And now you want to eat it.
Yes.
How about you, Elaine? Do you plan meals at home?
I used to when the kids were around.
Okay.
And usually had some basic items, and then whatever was on special in supermarkets. You know, because one supermarket will have like a really good price on something, so I made sure I hit that one. And if another one over here, it's something different.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
To budget as well as to, you know, to get healthy items. and
Yeah.
stuff to cook with, yeah.
It's all these budgeting tips because, you know, when we think of food budget, you know, one thing we all say is healthy food is so expensive. So the junk food is so cheap. I can get a cheeseburger for $1.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and it's the fruit and vegetables and produce. So it really is about finding the sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also, you know, when we think ahead to our budget, that's the thing too. We think that we spend a lot of our budget on buying food. We actually spend a lot of our budget on wasting food. So, yeah, that's actually a huge, it comes up in nutrition and public health all the time. So whether it's at our house and we're wasting it, it goes bad. You know, I hate to say it, but like I'm one that, you know, that workaholic, you know, day and night. Oh no, working Tuesday and now I am great. You know, give me the assignment. So things go, you know, can go bad all the time. So it's also about learning. If you are that busy lifestyle person, you know, we're gonna go over some tips on how to stretch that and how to save food so they don't go bad.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So along with planning your meals and your menu ahead of time, are you guys people that make a shopping list or no?
Oh yeah, I make a shopping list.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't stick, I try to stick to it as stringent as possible. Because you can, like my sister, she walks up and down every aisle.
No, it's time consuming.
And yeah.
One really cool tip I learned, so if you're gonna make a grocery list and you really don't want to do that back and forth, remember grocery stores are pretty much all set up the same.
Mm-hmm.
A little variation, but generally we have our produce, right? Then our meat, fish, dairy, and we walk around the outside. So actually I learned this, I saw my mom do this. So when she makes her grocery list, she actually has produce and writes all the produce she wants. And then whatever cut of meat. Mm-hmm. So when she walks around the grocery store, instead of a straight list, she actually has it like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's, you walk around and there you go, and that even helps more.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, but that's actually a good idea because you're right.
Because you get to the frozen section, realize you needed apples and have to go to the other end of the store.
Yeah.
When you're trying to get out. Yeah.
Or you have one of these recipes in your head. You know, so like today we're making yogurt parfaits and I was thinking berries and, you know, it's easy to move on and be like, oh, but I need garlic for the other recipe and, you know, that's in that same section.
Yeah.
So that'll be your homework assignment for this week. So we don't do grading and cooking matters, but at the end of every class, you know how we often give you a challenge for the week, whether it's making one of the recipes or, you know, when we learn fruits and vegetables, try a new fruit, you know, once a week. So, good, that can be your assignment now. They can let us know how it goes.
All right. The good thing is, you know, is looking at those the papers and
The
making
flyer,
a list
when
from
it
the
comes
flyers.
out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's helpful because then you, like I said, well, not anymore, but like I said before, we used to decide what we was going to have, and then you look at the flyer and you say, no, like you said, no, strawberries are $4.99. We won't do that this year.
Right.
You know. Or, so they have blueberries on sale. You want to try blueberries instead of strawberries?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. So substitution, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. There's actually a section in your book, it's a couple pages that's really cool, that does some suggestions. So, you know, if there's no strawberries, use blueberries.
Oh, okay.
And it's really good for the stuff we're not as used to as well, you know. So some people learn food for the first time. I know I have, just from, you know, teaching the classes. So I'm like, well, if they don't have zucchini, what would I replace with that? You know? And so your book actually has that. And then, so that's our next topic. So one, the convenience, but the budgeting. So some tips for budgeting are that. So now you have your meals or your menus planned ahead. That's one huge tip right there. So the sales flyers. So try to build your recipes based on that.
Yeah.
Good. So with all the substitutions. So now they have, you know, a lot of times, almost all the time now, the stores, you get those flyers right with your receipt and coupons.
Oh yeah.
And then
and then Sunday papers. You get all
yes. So
And
that's
Thursday too, actually.
Oh, Thursday too?
Thursday too, you get coupons.
Oh, okay, I'm glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing too. So if you have your regular stores that you go to, you can actually find out like when that store does their flyers. Yes, if it's Thursday and your shopping day is Monday or Sunday, you know, you have a few days to plan.
And all of them are online now, so you can just go in and look at the flyer page by page, and write down you can click the items and then print out the list. That's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Printables now, yes, if
Yeah.
you're internet savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you'll get like little extra deals once in a great while from using the internet, or those will go out a day before the paper ones sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's nice. Yeah.
Cool. So one way to budget then is this, so find out what the stores are offering. The second way to build your menus then and save money is to do inventory of your own pantry. So does anyone do that on a regular basis? Or semi-regular?
Yeah, semi-regular.
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah.
And then you can make recipes like just even with those things, like
Yeah.
so many. Yes, because it drives, people crazy. I'm sure we've all done this where you think you need something and, you come home and you're like, oh, I already have black beans, or I already had scallions. I didn't know that. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and that's, great if you can save it and reuse it. But at the time, that's one thing that emptied our pocket when it didn't quite yet have to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a handout, a whole section in your book on how to do step-by-step recipes. So especially for the beginner cook or the novice cook, we don't have to focus on details. I need hamburger and pasta and this vegetable. So like Norma said, you can do substitutions, find out what's on sale. But these frameworks, I like to use the step-by-step pasta as a good example.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a framework of, pick your whole grain. So this is pasta, but you could do this with rice, you could do it with barley, some of the other things we've experimented with. And then you pick your protein. So if ground beef is on sale, great. If you don't eat beef, edamame. That's those are soybeans before they turn them into tofu. Yeah, it's kind of like a little green pea.
I didn't know that they turned them into tofu. Didn't know.
That's where it comes from.
No.
So, yep, that and like other soy products. So, just like anything else, sometimes, you hear this was good for you yesterday and bad for you today. So soy is one of those ones that we actually get asked about in classes somewhat often, like, oh, and now I've heard that we're getting too much soy or it's not good for you. What they're referring to is just everything we're making out of soy. So we find out something's healthy, the industries hop on that
Goes
bandwagon.
overboard with it.
Yeah, so they just process it to no end. So edamame is just a soybean, so unprocessed. You can get them in the shell, but you can also save yourself time and get them. It'll actually say shell, which means they're out of the shell.
Yeah.
Kind of backwards wording, but yeah. So it tells you to pick your protein, do a couple cups of vegetables, whatever they may be. Pasta dishes. You can pick so many different sauces.
Yeah.
And then seasonings. It's we kind of think of that as Italian, but it doesn't have to be. So so pasta. Like, what are 5 different things, or 4 or 5 things you could do with pasta? So if I have a big giant box of pasta, which I do, and I know I'm too busy to cook all week, so maybe I have Sunday off, and I say, there's only 2 people in my household. I'm going to cook all this down because I don't want to cook 3 times this week.
Yeah.
And pasta is very cost effective, a couple dollars per entire box.
Oh, so you can cook the whole box and then
Yeah.
just leave it in a container and then take out what you need.
Yes, exactly. Leave in a container.
Yeah.
Some people, if you're super savvy, they'll even do small containers. So, half a cup in this one, half a cup in this one. In lesson 3, when we talk about fruits, vegetables, and whole grain, we talk about how they're healthy, but you don't want a giant bowl of pasta, or just rice. You want less, and you want to mix in protein and vegetable sources. So so if I said, one night, tonight I'm going to make pasta, and I'm going to do tomato sauce with it, and basil and oregano. So I'm going to have like an Italian night. So that's one thing I could do pasta. What are some other pasta dishes we could do? And it could be any. You can think spaghetti, you can be thinking elbows.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Good, so mac and cheese. So those are 2 totally different tastes, right? So
Oh yeah.
right? You're not going to get sick of that. Even the kids that can be very finicky.
Mm-hmm.
Two totally different things: sauce versus cheese.
Yeah.
What about anyone like Chinese food?
Like, oh.
Oh, the noodles.
Ish,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother thing you could do with soy
Like
sauce.
with a stir fry kind of.
Stir fry, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
good too.
A
Yeah.
whole nother meal. Yeah, it's all about getting creative. So, some people say too with pasta, those are your basic pasta on a plate. You could add some of those noodles in a soup,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
true.
there's a whole nother thing, right?
Yeah.
And then cold pasta salad,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
right?
That's true.
And from there we have creamy dressings. We have, Italian dressings, more olive oil dressings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it takes time. This was like teamwork to come up with all these.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
over time, just really, really learning it and taking these classes or hopping on the internet if you have access to it. So many ways to stretch that budget so we're not like, I cannot look at pasta one more time and throw it out, or reach for anything other than the pasta.
Even like rice. There's several different things that you can do. I never knew this, and I saw it on the back of a mayonnaise jar. Rice salad, and I thought, what? But it was good. It was
So
really
it's
good.
rice with veggies. And
It
cold.
had rice with vegetables, egg in it,
Oh.
chicken, and then the mayonnaise, and it was better than I thought it was gonna be.
That's so smart. Yeah, so like you think of rice, like you just think hot rice side dish or rice
Yeah.
and beans, that's usually the protein.
Yeah.
The rice and chicken, cold. There was one, I remember when I was younger where we lived, I was friends with, there was an Indian family across the way. So I learned a lot of like the Indian recipes they did, and there was some dish that was rice with yogurt. Like I would never think of that, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. So, good. Oh my
That's
God.
good. Yeah.
It's like the most inspiring class ever. We've come up with so many ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. So yeah, there's a whole, like I said, this is the step-by-step. Pasta, you guys have a step-by-step soup. You have a step-by-step stir fry.
Okay.
So all these different frameworks where, you can, if you can't think of something on your own, just read these pages. It's really good. And it really just helps prevent food waste. You'll also get in your book, there's pages that tell you how to best store certain foods. So, for example, like broccoli is one of those things that's actually better off to blanch it first, which means you boil it really quick, just a couple minutes, and then you freeze it. It really keeps its color and it's crisp. Some things need to be at room temperature. We tend to think, oh, the fridge will keep everything lasting longer. Not always so, right? So some things don't benefit from that. So you have a whole bunch of pages that will teach you all these different ways.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's, because that's another thing too. So we think we're doing our part. We made a list. We did our sales flyer. We got this really budget-friendly menu. And what the heck, I bought it 4 days ago and it's moldy. Like, why? So, knowing how to store these things is really key. One little tip, things like garlic and onions, things ripen by off-gassing. A gas is coming out of them. So those are things you want to keep room temperature away from other fruits.
Yeah.
Bananas, their gas comes off, so that's a good way if you're eating avocados and, those are so hard. There's this internet meme, it's so funny. It's like, I'm not ready. Oop, too late. So,
That's with avocados.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's with avocado. Excuse me. Yeah, because it's one of those things that can be tricky. So when you buy them, there's actually a really simple way to decide if it's ready and when you're ready to eat it. So if it feels like your forehead, it's too hard. If it feels like your cheek, it's too soft. And if it feels like the tip of your nose, it's just right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So fun little tips and
Oh
cooking
my
matters. There you
goodness,
go.
that's interesting.
I got some ideas too. But those are a thing where, if you want to ripen something a little quicker, sometimes putting them in a paper bag with a banana, so you're talking about banana speckling, they'll help each other ripen quicker.
Okay.
So there's so much to know about food science and just the whole world of food. So also in your book, there's a page on, stocking your pantry, a lot of the things you guys already said, having peanut butter, always, having flour, always, certain herbs and spices, always.
Yeah.
Knowing how to store them. a lot of people, we keep it in that little spice, the little cabinet over the fridge or over the oven.
That's right.
Yes. So the spices, you actually want to make sure that's insulated well, because too much heat or extreme cold or heat will make them go bad sooner. And it doesn't mean they're going to poison you. Like a dried herb is a dried herb, but it'll just lose, some of its flavor or color, some of its aroma. But just to help you, as you guys go about your days and do your menu planning, there's actually some handouts in the book. Once you have it, it's yours forever. You can make copies. It's cute, just ready, set, plan, and planning like 5 days of menus or a couple of things. Yeah, it mentions the recipe framework. And just one other concept. This is actually one of my favorite concepts that I've learned in Cooking Matters. So as far as budget and time, and therefore our patience. So, cooking's not so daunting. There's a little rule that says cook once, eat twice.
Oh.
So, and I like to actually add to that, so buy once, cook once, eat twice. And that kind of goes like just what we said, so you buy that box of rice, you cook it once, and then you make the rice salad or the rice and beans or your rice casserole or a soup, barley and rice and beef or chicken, however you're doing it. And so another really important benefit of everything we're talking about, making your own food, is that when you make your own recipes, you control how much of everything goes in there.
Yeah.
You control it, right? You control the salt, you control how much fat is in there.
Yeah.
So in the industry, there's a lot of industry practices that add a lot of fat and salt for several reasons. So, one of it is just taste. Humans, our mouth, it loves fat. So just the mouthfeel, it tastes really good. So, when, say a soup company, for example, is making, a soup, they have to go by the general public. And they actually do tastings. So they actually go by personal benefit. And they have tasting rooms and they see, who picked which batch, which batch got the most likes, basically. Now that we're in the social media age, that's saying it that way makes it sound good to me. So, so they add a lot of salt, and it's also about a lot of the practices. So they don't just have salt in canned foods for the flavor, they also have it in there so that it can last forever, Everything has expiration dates, but I mean, really, canned produce, canned food, if you're really hungry or there's an apocalypse, all those shows on TV, I'll eat canned corn 6 years later if I'm hiding from zombies and I need some quick energy. So, things like bread, there's food that we think if it tastes salty, it has salt. There's things like bread, it has a lot of salt just because of the machines. They use the salt to help their machines keep working. So, now we're getting this stuff because we didn't make it, because machines made it. Yeah. It's crazy out there, just all these practices. So a can of soup, the new labels are having 2 columns now, because they know you could eat a whole can by yourself. But one serving of this soup, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, this goes for all of them. I'm not picking on a brand or a flavor. So 1 cup of this soup has 890 milligrams of sodium in 1 cup.
And then how much in the can?
And then the can, because you could eat this, the whole can actually has 1,940 milligrams.
That will kill you.
Yes.
No.
So the American Heart Association right now recommends 1,500 milligrams
For the whole day.
for the whole day. And that is kind of, there is debate, there is some leeway there, but especially if you have health problems or blood pressure issues, 1,500 is around that threshold. 2,300 is the average, so 2,300 milligrams. So, and then we have that percent daily value, which we talked about when we learned how to read nutrition labels. So if you eat 1 cup of this, and you're a person that can have 2,300 milligrams a day, you got 39% of your daily value.
Just 1 cup of soup.
1 cup.
And 1 meal.
Oh my gosh.
That's too much.
And it is. You can get headaches, and if you eat the whole can, 1,940 milligrams, like we just said, 2,300 is the threshold. That's 84% of what you could have in a whole day. And you're
one
eating it.
meal.
Yes, in 1 meal. I mean, our body is designed to help things and fight things, and our kidneys are designed to get rid of excess sodium, but how about just not eating all that in the first place?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
That's what I was going to say. I know. Remember we were talking about the fruit, and no, if you're supposed to have 3 servings, but though you can't eat the 3 servings at one time because your body's going to rid the extra
Right.
the extra
The extra vitamins.
in the fruit. And so my question is that like the same thing with the cup of soup and the sodium? Will your body decide, oh, this is too much sodium and get rid of it, or does it get absorbed?
Excellent question. So if you have no health problems and no kidney disease, for the most part it should get rid of it for you. But even for a little while, headaches are a big symptom. Before it got rid of it, temporarily your blood pressure could be raised for a little bit. Yeah. So even in the end, you might get rid of it all. If you already have high blood pressure, you don't need all that at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, excellent. Thank you for asking that. So yeah, if we make our own soups instead, a little pinch of salt and way more herbs. That's how we can make things taste good. So we're making burritos today. When I was setting up our kitchen, I make this all the time, you guys. I teach these classes all the time. Even I knew that we were doing pepper and cumin in the recipe today. And I reached for the salt, and I was reading down the recipe. I'm like, how much salt goes in this recipe? Oh yeah, 0. Even I forgot. So we have recipes where we're not even using salt.
Oh, no salt at all. Okay.
Yeah, no salt
Okay.
at all.
That's
So,
good.
and then so just a recap. Is there any other questions or any other tips you guys were?
No, but that is something that is actually very good. That you can put the herbs in there, like Mrs. Dash doesn't have any salt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Salt
And when
substitutes.
you add it, it gives it a wonderful flavor that you don't even miss the salt.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's a good reminder because I sure forgot.
You're welcome. I know it's overwhelming. There's so much, like 1800, you just ate what was there. I mean, now we have to really skim through everything. So, yeah, it's just fascinating how much there is to take into account and knowing about to read. Don't assume a whole can is 1 serving. Yeah. All these things. And then you don't need salt. You're not going to store it in your cabinet, right? You make a giant soup, you're going to freeze it. So, So just some final tips. This is, you don't have this now, but this is just a page in your book that I like. Also going with your menu planning. And, we talked about the 5 food groups. So you were just saying, 3 servings of fruits and vegetables. This is just a cool menu where you can look at breakfast, dinner, snacks, lunch. You don't have to do all the weeks, but if you want to plan a couple days, and there's even a check mark like, oh, let me, you want to try to get at least 3 food groups in all your meals if you can. So this kind of would just help you out. So it's a little test,
Oh,
So
that's
that's
a good thing to know. Remember.
Yeah, and all these little tools to just help you out. Visualizing is, that's one, big thing of Cooking Matters, why we're so hands-on, We could talk at you till you're blue in the face, but you're only going to absorb,
Yeah.
I don't care how interested you are in the subject, we can only remember so much.
Time,
Cooking Matters has a whole page where we have a list for you, so where you can actually do inventory of your own pantry, write down items you have on hand. Like you're saying, my daughter wants this week, so I have chicken, I have flour, I have, whatever. List ingredients that can be used in more than 1 meal. And then the top 6 tips to budgeting and planning. So I think we hit them all. So 1, check what you have at home. See what needs to be used up. So those things that are going by the wayside, what do I need to use now?
Yeah.
Tip number 2, don't focus on the details. Just start by writing down some ideas, some basic ideas for your recipes. 3, pick out ingredients that can be used in more than 1 meal. So I'm thinking about your lasagna, you can use those shells maybe in that meal, but you can make all that extra meat and cheese and use that in some other things.
Yeah.
Tip number 4, think about ways to use the leftover ingredients in other meals so that 1, we don't get bored, and 2, we don't let them go to waste. Tip number 5, that was the very first one we said, so good. So check your store flyers, look for items that are on sale that week that you can use in your meals, and if necessary, replace. You were going to use blueberries, but strawberries on sale, use strawberries, And then tip number 6, create a shopping list to make sure that you buy all the items that you need, you don't forget any, and hopefully to help avoid adding a lot more that you don't need.
Exactly.
So, let's see how well you've learned in the 4 weeks that you've been in matters now. So, it's a quiz, not really. This is just for fun. No wrong answers. But, this is just, planning for leftovers. So, some more ideas like we discussed. So, I'm just going to name a couple food groups or specific foods. And if you want, you can try to think of a recipe that you would make out of it. So, what if we have bread and it's starting to go stale? It's not moldy, but starting to go stale. What are some things we could make with that bread?
Bread pudding.
Good, bread pudding.
Breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs, yes. That's such a good one.
Put it in meatloaf.
Put it in meatloaf, yes.
Put it in meatloaf.
So kind of like the breadcrumbs, right?
Yeah.
You use the breadcrumbs and use it in your meatloaf. Awesome. French toast is on there, stuffing croutons. So exactly, if it's not moldy, it's just a little hard, we can still use that.
Yeah.
And for croutons and breadcrumbs, we need them to be hard.
Yeah.
Good, so that's like awesome. Like 5 tips right there just on bread. So don't throw it out. All right, we talked about rice and pasta a lot already. Fruit's a big one we've done. So what do we say for fruit? Some things we could use with our fruit that's starting to go soft.
Oh, it's banana bread.
Good. Oh, this is like one of my old
And
Which one?
smoothies, yeah.
Smoothies.
And smoothies, good. So all those things are fine. Pancakes. Yes, you can turn it into a topping where you would want it to be ooey gooey. It's soft.
Sushi, yeah.
Awesome. Milk, of course, so not for drinking. What can we use milk for?
You can still use it for cooking.
Good.
You still could use it for cooking.
Yeah. Still use it for cooking. That's exactly what it says. So use it for your baking. Use it for your muffins. You can actually freeze milk.
Cheese sauce, right?
Oh, smart.
When you're making.
Yes, a cheese sauce.
Yeah.
Like we said, the pasta and cheese or anything in cheese. Yeah. Oh, I don't think anyone said that before. Oh my goodness, I love you guys. So yes, a cheese sauce. Yogurt. This is a fun one. So we're actually going to do this today. You can use yogurt. A dollop of sour cream on things. You can use yogurt in place of sour cream on burritos and tacos.
On baked potatoes.
Baked potatoes, yes.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
a little healthier, Dairy is still one of the things that has fat, but you can get non-fat or a little fat. This is actually one thing, I might repeat this again when we're cooking, but with dairy, we eat dairy mainly for calcium and vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. Calcium is a fat-soluble mineral. So you're almost a little better off having low fat, or if you get fat-free, have fat somewhere else in the meal to help you absorb that, actually. So good, like especially that Greek yogurt, you just put that on, now you're getting some calcium and some vitamins. Good, and less fat. Cheese, of course, is like universal. If you eat cheese, we can use that for everything. So what about meat? Say you made like a big giant chicken and you pulled it apart and you only ate some. What else could you do with chicken, for example?
Put it on top of a salad.
Good, so put it on a salad.
Make it into a stew.
Good, yeah, so put it back in there. Again, a stew.
Or you can have chicken tacos, right?
Yes.
Chicken tacos.
Yeah, so tacos, that is like such a pro tip, We tend to think of tacos, it's got to be ground meat. It doesn't, yeah. We could just do shredded chicken. The restaurants do it.
And fish tacos are good.
Fish tacos, yes, so we use your fish. Good, yes, so many things we can do with that. And
make it into like like chicken pot pie. You can make chicken pot pie.
Oh, good, yes.
Yeah.
That's a real creative one, yes. So it's in there a couple days. So many things. I feel like the next month, like nothing is going to go to waste in any of our houses now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and then the last thing on this list, but we're going to be cooking it, is, our egg burritos. And so we're going to be using beans and eggs, of course. Eggs can be used in baking, like you said, or on their own. The last thing on this list is egg and beans. So we're actually going to use that for a burrito. So another topic, that comes up a lot is breakfast. So, breakfast, it's been said to be one of the most important meals of the day. Yet science is always changing in research. They used to say try to eat breakfast within half hour of waking up. If you're not hungry, don't force that on yourself. Do you guys eat breakfast or?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, all the time?
Yeah, I do. But
Okay.
probably later in the morning. Not right when I wake up.
So you wait a little bit? What about you?
No, I eat breakfast on the run, I guess. But
Okay.
I have it like this here, really. I have a egg and bacon on a burrito, and as I'm going out the door, I grab it, and while I'm driving,
You eat that?
Oh,
I'm
okay.
eating it.
Okay, so you're not getting it from the drive-thru, you're making it.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Good, exactly. So this is like the perfect segue. So I love to make this recipe in this lesson, in lesson 4. So that's what I was gonna say. You know, this is great. So that's another way to save time. You can make a bunch of these burritos that we're gonna make and save them for the week, you know, so that you're not grabbing it from the store. And the store is going to be way more fattening.
So it can stay in the fridge a couple of days?
Yeah, the fridge or the freezer, and then you
freeze
microwave it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like about this recipe is, you know, we have a lot of things that we think this is a breakfast food, this is a lunch food, this is a dinner food, right? You're like, no, myth debunked. So, you know, a lot of times like beans are like a lunch or a dinner thing. So we're throwing big beans into our omelet. So, you know, depending on like how you grew up, you know, what culture, a lot of times it's just an omelet is veggies. No, we can throw another protein source in there. And that's another thing too. So one thing, this is a good one I learned a long time ago for kids. If they don't like typical breakfast foods, you know, if you made that chicken last night or that pasta or that rice, if that's what they like, they can have that rice bowl you made for breakfast. You can have that.
Or
You
the
can-
leftover pizza.
Yeah. Or that leftover pizza with minimal cheese and tons of veggies. Yes, of course. Whole wheat crust. Yes. Cool. Alright, so we'll get started on our recipes, you guys. We're gonna make 2 recipes going with the grab and go breakfast theme. So of course the egg burritos. And then we're also gonna make yogurt parfaits. So for this I'm just gonna demonstrate how you would make a yogurt parfait, and then you can make your own. Okay, so this is one of those quick non-cook recipes. So if you like quick things, this is a yogurt parfait, and you can put anything you want in your yogurt parfait. You know, I chose berries when they're in season. They're at their freshest and at their least expensive, but you can go seasonal. You could do vegetables in parfaits too, actually, to an extent. I know, like, what?
Yeah.
So all you do is you're just layering whatever fruits and vegetables you want. So I have blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. So I'm going to start with some blueberries. I'm just going to do 2 layers in mine. So I'm going to do a little bit of blueberries and raspberries. And you could even cut these up if you want, but I find it's like the little fruits are time saver, so we cut up the strawberries. But you do some fruit, then some yogurt. And these come out really pretty looking too, so presentation, you know, that makes people want to eat things.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you can do any yogurt you want. So, you know, vanilla is a good starter one, you know, a low-fat vanilla. So it's, you know, good to have some of the fat in there, but you can go non-fat. You know, keep in mind vanilla, yes, it's going to have more sugar than plain. So,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, so just, you know, if it's part of a balanced diet and you're not getting that much. So some people say, oh, you're putting so much. Where, you know, remember 1 serving of yogurt is 8 ounces? This whole cup is 10 ounces. We're not putting 8 ounces of yogurt. So, so another little layer of that. Some strawberries. Beautiful. Another layer. Goodness, the restaurants are going to try to take this from us. And then for the topping, you know, to give it a little crunch, you could do nuts if you wanted. You could do seeds. We usually do granola in the class. Okay. And just watch out for allergens. You know, if you have an allergy, we have to be careful. You know, we always buy granola that doesn't have nuts in it, but they could be made in the same plant as something with nuts, so, or peanuts specifically.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah, so always read the back to see if it says, it has to say if it was made in a plant that uses that. And yeah, and then as far as the vegetables, I know that sounded so weird, but you know, a lot of times you do this to demonstrate how to get more. A little shredded carrots actually goes really nice. Yes, and it's one of the sweeter ones.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adds the color more.
Yes, looks appetizing.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Sometimes with foods like apples and things that'll oxidize, you know, a lot of times restaurants will put it in lemon juice to prevent, you know, the oxygen
Yeah,
from getting
from
to it.
browning, yeah.
So yogurt is actually pretty acidic. So if I had some apples in here and mixed it good enough, it would actually prevent the apples from oxidizing a little bit too. So you could put this in a fridge just like this, or maybe just a little, cover over it and just have it good to go. If you bought frozen fruit, I've done this before. If frozen fruit is on sale, I do with the frozen. By the morning, it's thawed up.
Oh, and you can set it up the night before.
Yes.
And it'll be good in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Let it thaw, and then it gets, ooey gooey. So, and ooey gooey seems like sweet sugar. So there you go. Dibs on that one. So you want to preheat the pan. Another thing with preheating pans, I learned this kind of recently actually. So with pans, they all have a porous surface, and after a while, they get little nicks and scratches. So preheating the pan actually helps condense that a little bit. So heat makes metal expand, and it gives you a better surface. So with our egg burritos, what we're going to do is we're going to crack some eggs. We're doing black beans. You could do any beans you want in the recipe, so whatever you have in your pantry. We're going to do scallions, which are also known as green onions. So that's a big question. That was one thing. When I first started grocery shopping for these classes, again, without like a huge culinary background, I was constantly like Googling through the aisles like, is summer squash and zucchini the same? Are green onions and scallions the same? And they come up in the Google search really quick, so I'm not the only one asking these questions.
Exactly, yeah.
So we have some started for us, but we're just going to slice up the scallions, really small. And people often ask how much you can use. We don't want to use the little grassy part, but I mean all the way pretty much to the end. So we're using the white part. We're going to dice our peppers. We'll grate our cheese. Do you guys like cilantro?
Yes.
Okay. So all the recipes are designed, as a framework. So cilantro's an optional ingredient, so we'll definitely use that. So if you guys want to start cutting those, and I'll get started on our eggs while our pan heats up. So with our eggs, it's actually said that it's better to crack them on a flat surface, not so much
on the edge.
Right, on the edge, thank you. So that leaves for less eggshells getting in there. But if we do get an eggshell in there, instead of chasing around with a fork or a spatula for minutes on end, the best way to get eggshell out of your egg mix is with an eggshell. So we just put that right in there, and it just scoops it up, no problem, every time. I feel like that's really like food homeopathy. The whole thing with homeopathy is share like with like.
Yes.
So our issue, right, with eggshell, we use eggshell to get rid of it. And then of course there's people that are even neater than myself when it comes to getting it all over them. So we're just going to dice these up, and the good way, so just like that and dicing. And the way you're doing it is perfect. So with the sitting down, usually we talk about how we want to lay things down flat. But with some vegetables, such as peppers, because the surface is so waxy, it actually makes it more difficult to cut through the wax.
Oh, so you can cut it on the inside.
Yeah, so your knife doesn't slip. Much safer. Cool. And then you just want to cut the cilantro a little bit.
Do you just cut the cilantro leaves or the stem too?
Excellent question. So this we're mostly just going to use the leaves. If a little stem gets in there, it's fine.
You said just the leaves? So do I pick this off?
You can pick it, so you can do however you want, or you can shred them a little bit with a knife. And you can put as much or as little as you want. Cilantro is one of those herbs, it's very healthy for you, but it has a very strong taste.
Yes.
So, so find out if your guest would like that or not. And whenever that's good. All right, and then for the these are ready. All right, and then we just beat the egg. You don't need to put any milk in it. I know a lot of people put milk in eggs, but a lot of people are lactose intolerant, so you don't have to.
Yes, pepper. Pepper.
Oh yeah, you can put herbs and spices in there. We actually are going to put a little in there. Another way to make your eggs fluffy. So for the burrito, we actually don't want this recipe to be too fluffy, but you can actually add a little water instead of milk, and that'll make your eggs fluffy. So with this recipe, we're going to make the mixture first. So we're going to be doing some black beans. So here, if you want to be the stir master actually, I'll pour them in. So this recipe, we preheated the pan. We have our oil in there. It's only going to take about 5 minutes for this to soften. With our oven on. So remember, you can use, any type of bean you want in place of black beans. You definitely want to go for the low sodium cans. We don't need all that sodium in a can of beans. So the beans are our hardest item, so we just put those in first. And then when it comes to sauteing, sauteing is a very good way to cook your food because you're not cooking the vitamins and minerals out of it. You're doing it at a medium temperature, depending on your stove. Some of them run a little hotter or a little cooler. But so you're really leaving all the good stuff in there. So then peppers are the next harder one. So things like peppers, carrots, garlic even, those are harder, so you want to put those in next. And we're just using olive oil. You could use canola oil if you would like. Okay. Food budget, don't let it go to waste. And then in about 30 seconds, if you want to put the scallions in, also known as green peppers. So then we're actually going to do the eggs last. So this is fun, and we don't have to do a ton of dishes. So one of my favorite things when I'm done with cooking is not doing dishes. So yeah, I know, you can put that right in there. And so remember, even our healthy oils, our canola and our olive oils, it's still oil, it's still fat. It's mostly that unsaturated healthy fat, but every 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, so they really still add up. And this recipe actually makes 4 burritos, so we're spreading it out, just so you know. And now, our seasoning is just pepper and cumin, and you could do, your choice. So these are dry spices. So with dry spices, you want to do them earlier in the process, so they have time to soften up. Same with herbs. The fresh ones, like our cilantro, we're just going to add at the very end. Okay, so if you want, you can pour that in. I know all about being on the go in the morning, but it's honestly, even if you prep some of this ahead of time, we're talking about grocery shopping, you could cut up scallions and peppers and put them in a Ziploc bag, put the amount in the recipe. And then when that morning comes, just dump it in. Yeah. Sounds good. I'd say about another minute or 2, and then we're going to throw them in a bowl. And then we don't even have to wash the pan because it's all going to the same place. So if you have a pan where the ingredients really stick to it, or you didn't do enough oil, you can simply wipe it out with a paper towel. Make sure it cools down a little. But yeah, so no need to stop everything, scrub it, and start over. Another minute, so we'll put that in a bowl, and then it'll cool down while we make our eggs. And we can do the cilantro right in the eggs too, so I'm just going to throw some of it in our mix. And you'll see that it wilts up really quickly. And I'll just save a couple for the actual eggs. And then as far as the cheese goes, that's an optional ingredient. So we can sprinkle it at the end. Some classes like to put half in the eggs while we're making it and use half to sprinkle on after. So do you guys have a preference? Do you want to go to the eggs? Beautiful. So those are nice and soft. Now they can go in the bowl. And then if you guys want to switch out, if you'd like to take turns with the pan, you certainly may. And then and then we're just going to do these scrambled. And now you can do more oil, or you can even do a non-fat cooking spray. So you can spray that down for the eggs so they don't stick too much. And then you could do, fried eggs if you had that time to do them separately. In classes, we have big classes, so we don't do made to order. That would be a 4-hour class alone. But we're just going to scramble them up, and people prefer how runny or dry they are. So we can just sprinkle some of this in, totally optional, and then the rest we'll just sprinkle on the burrito itself. But it will add a little tang. And then also, so this recipe says to use cumin, and in the recipe, it says a teaspoon of cumin divided. So what that means is we want a teaspoon total, but we did 3/4 of a teaspoon in our mixture, and then we can do the other quarter in here. We can measure or just sprinkle. Out of all the things people like learning in classes, I find measuring isn't one of them. So we all just kind of eyeball it. And eggs are really healthy for you. You know, the science has gone back and forth over the years. You know, they are a little bit high in cholesterol, but they found that the cholesterol in the eggs or in any food we eat doesn't necessarily impact our cholesterol levels. It's more saturated fat that has an impact on our cholesterol. And despite the high cholesterol in eggs, there's very low saturated fat, very low fat total.
So if you have high cholesterol and you're on medication, you can eat eggs or you shouldn't eat eggs?
So with that, like, I mean, if you have a specific issue, definitely do what your doctor specifically tells you. But in general, they're saying that it's, you know, back to the good side. You know, it's a low-fat protein, very filling, very cost-effective. So, you know, again, I know we're talking about budget and things get really expensive, but for all the things that are so expensive, there's so many things that aren't. So we actually do a grocery store tour, and we have we have this recipe as an example, and this ends up being, so like the whole grocery bill comes to a bit if you had nothing in your house, like no oil, no, you know, anything. But these burritos actually come out to about $1.30 per burrito.
So less than a fast food?
Yeah, yes, because dollar menus aren't really dollar menus anymore, right? They're value menus. So, yeah, so just much healthier. They're not doing this for the general public, they're doing it for you. We're not preserving these, we're eating them now, we're freezing them. So we don't have to have any added things. This has no salt in this recipe, just whatever's naturally in the food. And that's it. So we're all good. Good job. Beautiful golden eggs. No arguments over eggs. That's good. So eggs and pizza, the two things in life nobody can ever agree on. So we're all happy with this. And then we're going to make these on a whole wheat tortilla. So remember, read your labels to make sure it's whole wheat or whole grain. And we can just scoop these in these, and we can just scoop our mix in there and go with it. Or some people, if you have a little time and you're not microwaving it later, you can just put it in a pan right from the beginning and just, about a minute on each side, and it'll warm it up for you. And then here we have Greek yogurt. So this is a really excellent tip. Instead of sour cream, you can actually use yogurt, or better yet, Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt has that really sour taste to it. So you can use that in place of sour cream on burritos, tacos, baked potatoes. You had mentioned that before. And that way you're getting less fat, same flavor, and just a little extra calcium, and finding those creative ways to use your dairy.
Yeah.
Nice. So I'll put that on there if you'd like.
And the cilantro.
Oh yeah, a little more cilantro. If you'd like. So you may or you don't have to. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us for Cooking Matters Connecticut, episode 4, and we will see you again for more great tips and tricks on nutrition, healthy eating, and budgeting.
If you enjoyed this program today, you can participate as well. Cooking Matters classes will help you learn how to shop and cook healthy on a budget, explore new recipes, and overall have fun, meet new people, and gain new skills. If you're in the Hartford area and would like to participate in a Cooking Matters class, please call 860-714-5770 or email healthequity@stfranciscare.org. For Cooking Matters class information across the state, to participate or become a volunteer, please contact 203-303-3908. Thank you.